Hello, everybody. We hope that you're having a great day. I'm going to wait a couple seconds and let everybody get logged on, but this is a super special episode with Tea with Brittany Lee. We are covering something a little bit different today than what we normally do. So normally we have kind of informational, very basic kind of stuff for you guys to learn. And that's done really well. You guys have really liked the partner webinars with training and things like that. But today we're doing something just a little bit different. We are going to be talking about, obviously you already know because we've registered, but we're going to be talking about Vacation Bridge and hooking up your Airbnb integration. There have been so many questions and so many people asking. We're so glad that you guys like the Airbnb integration. But I am joined by Connie Hutchins today. And Connie is the magical wizard of most things at VRM. She knows how to do websites. She runs the marketing department. She knows how to integrate Airbnb. So she's joining me today to talk specifically how to set up your Airbnb integration. So I just want to say thank you, Connie, for coming on and doing this training with us. It's super exciting that you're here today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over because I know you have a lot of stuff to get through and not a lot of time to do it.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending today. So we have been working on this Airbnb integration for quite some time now, and we've learned a lot of things in the last few months of the beta testing. And I do want to thank all of our beta testers for their participation and patience and feedback during this period. We did announce that we're live with the Airbnb integration, and we are. However, I just want to say, we tend to learn something new with each client that we onboard. VRM has such a diversity in the way that your rates, your guest charges and rent adjustments and all of those things can be set up. And so it seems like with each new client that comes on, we encounter a new scenario that we need to work through. But there is some commonality in the challenges that we have found. And so there's a couple of them that we're going to go into today and really focus on. One of those is the rates and how they're calculated, because they seem to be one of the issues that's common to all of the installations that we've done so far. So first of all, I do want to bring your attention to our new help center, help.vrmdr.com. This is a relatively new help center. We still have our old knowledge base. A lot of you have probably used that. Anything new that we do is being added to this new help center, and everything that we have as far as help articles and onboarding, documentation, things like that exist in this help center here. So when you log on with your the same login that you would use for your VRM admin console and your client code. And then when you get to the help center screen right here, just type in Airbnb, and it's going to bring up a bunch of articles for you to look at. One that I want to point out specifically, when you're on most of the articles, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a table of contents. And at the bottom, there is an article, Airbnb Market Managers by Region. And that's a list that we received from Airbnb. Has a list of regions and then the email and name of the person for that specific region. And I want all of you to make sure that you learn who your market manager is and talk to them about some specific things. Mostly confirm your taxes, and we'll get to that in a moment. So we have that help there, and please use that. And then for any additional questions that you can't find answers to, of course, help@vrmgr.com is always online. Okay, so this is your Vacation Bridge window, and I'm not actually going to do a step-by-step setup instructions here, but rather a a discussion of some key concepts and things that that you need to know in order to facilitate a smoother setup. So we will be offering some instructions, obviously, during this. So the top half of the screen, the global property configurations, I'm not going to mess with those. I am assuming a certain level of knowledge here. If you've worked with other portals, channel partners, then you're familiar with those settings. So we're going to look at the portal specific configurations down here specifically for Airbnb. And the first button we're going to look at is this portal taxes button. So the taxes, very simple in concept, but very critical that you get them right and get them right the first time. You should all be familiar with this type of screen in VRM. You check the boxes when you want to add something from the left side to the right side. Check the box, click add, and then you will move those items over into the right-hand screen. And those are the taxes that the portal will pay, and you will not be responsible for collecting and paying. So you want to talk to your Airbnb market manager and confirm. We do have an article on the Help Center that has a link to an Airbnb article that talks about which taxes they collect. But I found out just a couple weeks ago that some of those aren't exactly up to date. And so we had a situation last week where a client had put over on the right side, stated that the portal paid a certain tax, accounting tax, and that wasn't correct. And so the client was left owing that tax, and it had never been collected. So you need to get it right, and it's best that you get it right the first time. Once you have properties, your account is linked, and you have reservations made that are open, notice the portal taxes button becomes grayed out, and you can't change them if you have any open reservations. So if there's a mistake in your taxes and you need to change something, you're going to have to contact us, and we're going to have to do some manipulation there. And I won't go into the details about that, but just know that you are going to have to contact us. And those reservations that were made without the correct taxes, they're never going to be correct. You either collected the tax twice or you didn't collect a tax, and you're going to end up being out that money. So be sure to talk to your market manager, confirm which taxes that you're going to be responsible for and which ones Airbnb are going to collect, and then do it one time. The next one we're going to talk about is we're just going to jump right into the rate structure, and we want to go through several screens and talk about how it is that Airbnb comes up with that per night rate that you see up there, $205 in this case. So where does that come from? We're going to go through a couple of examples. One of the things that, well, several of the things that make Airbnb so different from other portals and a little bit harder to get the rates to reconcile is a couple of things. So first of all, they don't get a rate quote directly from VRM. Currently at this point in time, HomeAway does get a rate. So regardless of what you do with settings, HomeAway is going to get a correct rate quote from you or from us, and whatever VRM is quoting is the same thing that HomeAway is going to quote. Airbnb does not get a rate quote directly. They will calculate their own based upon the daily rate. So the next thing to know is that Airbnb only reads the daily rate. Now, you can still have a minimum stay, 3 days, 7 days, whatever, but that stay length and the total reservation cost is going to be based upon that daily rate. Also, Airbnb rounds the rates and fees to the dollar. So if you have a fee that is $7.50, and we send that over there through the API of $7.50. It's going to be rounded up or down, and honestly, I don't know whether it's before it's added into the total or after. So that's going to cause some differences. And then, of course, the taxes. If they're not collecting all of your taxes, then we are going to be sending those taxes over as a fee, and there's no way for us to say that this item is non-taxable. Everything that we send over there is going to be taxable, and so they're going to be a tax on the tax, and that's going to create some price differences in how the reservation goes into VRM and what the guest is going to pay on the Airbnb. So the rates then and fees, besides the daily rate that we send over to Airbnb, Airbnb accepts and recognizes or has 5 types of fees. And so all of the fees and charges that you have set up in VRM, whether they're a guest charge, a rent adjustment, or even the damage waiver and your reservation fees, VRM is categorizing them into one of these 5 Airbnb categories, and then we send them over there as that category. So you have cleaning, linen, management, resort, and community fees. And then on the Airbnb side, if you're looking at one of your properties and looking at pricing, this is what you see. So everything that's sent over as a management fee gets added together as one line item. So how do we, what do we determine what category the types of fees go into? So if one of your charges, regardless of whether it's a rent adjustment or a guest charge, if the charge has the word clean, cleaning, or housekeeping, it's going to show up in Airbnb as a cleaning fee. If it has the word linen, it's going to be a linen fee. And then all of your guest charges and rent adjustments or reservation fees that are a flat dollar amount is going to go under the category of management fees. If any of those charges are a percentage, it's going to go over as a resort fee. And then the community fee, we have reserved that specifically for any taxes that are not collected by the portal. So when you set up your taxes the first time, any of the taxes that you don't move over to that right side for Airbnb to collect are going to be then sent over separately as a community fee. We have a, these things got kind of confusing, and so our developers devised the screen here, or created the screen. And this is in the vacation bridge. If you choose Airbnb and view the rate table and choose a specific property, then you can see how all of your charges are categorized and how they are going to go and end up over in the Airbnb side. So all of these management fees that we have several of them, they're going to be added together before it's sent to Airbnb and then sent over as one management fee. Notice the damage deposit waiver is set over there as a management fee. This county accommodations, that was a tax, so it's going over as the community. And then cleaning and linen, they're going to go over separately. And then Airbnb is actually going to combine those when it gets over there. Your daily rate is composed of the rate, the base rent that you set under rates, property and rates, and then any all-inclusive charges. And that's the all-inclusive charges are one thing that confuses a lot of people, so we're going to go into depth on that. But this is the screen that you can check on the vacation bridge to see if your charges are going over there as expected and if they're going over there at all. Because there are some settings in your rent adjustment and guest charges screens that will keep something from going over, and we'll go over that in a minute as well. So what this looks like then on the Airbnb side is the cleaning fee here and the linen fee here down at the bottom. You see And then the management fees, community fees, there's no resort fee in this one, so it doesn't show. And then what the guest sees, here is where the linen and the cleaning were combined, the 90 and the 30 to come up with the 120. And then all of the management fees and community fees, and if you have resort fees, they're going to end up being built into that 205 per night daily rate. We're going to be doing the math later, so if you hate math, take your ibuprofen right now, and then you'll be ready to go over this. So
I'll be taking extra ibuprofen, everyone. Just so.
All right, so let's look at some of the settings in the guest charges and rent adjustments that may affect how a charge goes over, or if it does even go over. So this screen right here, this is the rent adjustment screen for the guest charges, but I am assuming a certain level of knowledge here, including knowing the difference between the guest charge and the rent adjustment and which one you want to use. And the things that I'm talking about right here that aren't recognized, the same applies to the guest charges as the rent adjustments. So first of all, the auto day settings, auto day type, begin, end, equal to that you see in the guest charges, those are not recognized by Airbnb. There's no way for us to tell Airbnb that this specific charge is only to be added to a reservation that is 4 days long, exactly 4 days long, or 4 or 5 days, whatever your setting is. There's no way for us to tell Airbnb that. So we do still send that charge. So it's going to be added, but it's not going to adhere to the rules that you set here, but it is going to go over. The use date range setting, if you check that, then that's going to prohibit one of the charges from going over. Now, a lot of the clients use the date range because they're going to raise the price later. So the cleaning fee is a specific price right now, but beginning in 2019, it's going to be a different rate. So you use the date range. But if you use the date range, it's going to prohibit that charge from going over. We're not even going to send it. So if you look at your view rate table and you don't see a specific fee that you think is supposed to be there, come back and check your setting here, and if you've got use date range, that would be the reason that it wouldn't go over. Now, we had a scenario, I'm going to show you this, where we actually used the date range to purposely prohibit a charge from going over. So this is a case that we ran into a couple weeks ago from a guest that had an administration fee set up based upon the stay length. So the for one day it was a certain amount, 2 days, 3 days, etc. And then 7 days, well, more than 7 days, then they had a nightly charge that went on, I believe. And so what happened was all of these fees were going over to Airbnb, and every single one of them, all 8 of them, were being applied to the rate because it did not recognize the auto day begin. So you can imagine that that rate was considerably higher than what they wanted. So in order to solve that problem, we actually went into each one of those fees and we checked the use date range. So that prohibited those fees from even being sent. We set the end date out to 2050. We're pretty sure things are going to change by then. So they're good up until then. And then we went ahead and we created a portal-specific charge. And we're going to go ahead and go through the portal-specific here in a little bit. But we have one more setting that we want to talk about that that really is, I'm a little scared to try to explain it because it gets complicated. It's not really that complicated, but it can seem that way. So this is the all-inclusive setting. You have the all-inclusive setting. Again, this is the rent adjustment screen. And there is an all-inclusive for the guest charges as well. So checking this is going to have different implications depending on the situation. So the first thing to know is that the all-inclusive is never going to affect the way that a rate is calculated within the VRM core software. Checking it or unchecking it isn't going to affect what you get when you get a price quote from your admin console. It's not going to affect what that final rate is when you get a price quote from your website. That's not what determines whether or not it's added to the rent. It's this add to rent box and the automatic box that determines whether or not this is going to be added to the rent. And if you check all inclusive, then notice these are grayed out here. They are automatically checked. And so this can be a problem with Airbnb. So we're going to run through how this works, a scenario on a property, and then figure out what we need to do if you're using the all-inclusive to get it to work right on Airbnb. So I have a property here with the rates set in VRM. You should all recognize the screens here. We've got the path here. This is where you will find these in VRM. And so when you're setting up rates in VRM, you're going to set a daily, a weekly, and a monthly. All of your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day length stays are going to be calculated in the VRM system using the daily, weekly, and monthly. And then you've got guest charges and you have rent adjustments. And for this specific scenario, what I have done is I have made the pet fee is not automatic. This resort fee is automatic, which you can't see on the screen, but it is set to be automatic. And then there are 3 rent adjustments applied that are also automatic. So these are the things that are going to go into the rate. So this right here is what we call the rate table. This is what you're going to see on your website, whether it's a VRM website if you're displaying your rates, or if you're using the API and you have a third party doing the website, if you're showing your rates, what you're going to see is this rate table right here. So the all-inclusive check marks tells VRM whether or not to add that fee, that charge, to the rate table. So the property that we had, it had these cleaning fees and these these rent adjustments and the guest charges here, and the rate was at $120 for the time frame that we're looking at. So with the rent adjustment not all inclusive, what we see here is the calculated rates, which is only the stay length times the daily rate. So your 4-night stay is 120 times 4, and that's what it's going to show. If you have all-inclusive rent adjustments, then it's going to show this amount right here. Your 4-night stay now is 4 times your daily rate, 4 times 120, plus then all of your charges, which is the 120, 5, and 12. So that's $137. So we come up with the 617 here. When you get a real-time quote with date selected, this happens to be a screenshot from one of our websites, but even if you're on a third party using the API, the quote is always going to be the same. It's always going to be this $497 for a 3-night stay, regardless of what this table is showing. So before the days of channel partners and portals, all-inclusive was basically a mechanism to show or not show this charge on your website. As time goes on and we introduce new technology and we integrated with these channel partners, it now has different implications, because this rate table right here, this is what we send over to Airbnb. This is what we send over to portals and channel partners that do not get a direct quote from us. We have several channel partners that get a direct quote from VRM, and we have others that use the rate table. And I'm not sure which is which, and you need to check actually with your channel partner to see which one they're doing if you're going to make changes in order to make your rates correct on Airbnb. So this then is what we are sending to Airbnb, this rate table. So remember, they are only taking the daily rate. And I hope you can see where we're going here. If you have all-inclusive charges that are meant to be a one-time charge, if we're only sending the daily rate to Airbnb, that one-time charge is built into the daily rate, and it now becomes a daily charge. So in this scenario right here, I have these two fees right here that are marked as all-inclusive. This is the rate table right here. You can see the math right here. The 3-night stay is $360 plus the $17 for the all-inclusive fees. This is the screen that you see in the vacation bridge. You've got your all-inclusive charges here. This is your daily here that you've set up, the 120. Add these to that. The total is 137, and that is what is going over to Airbnb. All right. So if you meant these charges right here to be a daily charge, we don't have a problem. It's going to work just as expected. So here's the math on the Airbnb side. So this is what we're sending over. This is a different property. We have the 135, our all-inclusive charges, total 160. So that goes over as the daily rate. Our management fees are all added together and go over as a total price of $110. Our community fee of 5% goes over as 5%. It's going to be calculated on the Airbnb end, not before it goes over there. Linen is sent over separately, and cleaning is sent over separately. So on the Airbnb side, the 160 on a 3-day stay equals the 480. Add your management and the calculated resort. This resort fee, or that's actually a community fee, excuse me. My understanding is that that is calculated on the 480. So they do this math first, the daily rate times the length of stay, and then calculate the percentages based upon that. So those two together add up to the 134. Add that to your 480. That's where you get your 614, and then to get this per night, they do the 614 divided by 3, and then they round it off. So people may or may not notice that the 614 right here and the 205 right here don't actually match up, because 205 times 3 is 615, but you may or may not notice that. Anyway, the calculation, I think, is done on the 614, but I'm not entirely sure. So that's how the daily rate is come up to. Now, I see a question there, don't know when it came in, but can we still set a minimum stay to 7? Yes. Airbnb will recognize that there is a minimum stay. The turn day and the minimum stay dates will be sent over from VRM, and they will be recognized by Airbnb, but they're still going to calculate it on a daily rate. So, and at this point in time, we don't have a way to do a weekly discount. We talked about that in a meeting this morning. We're going to have some continued discussion on that. I know a lot of people set their daily rate based upon weekly divided by 5 or something like that. And then in VRM, we have configurations where you can have that 6-day stay discounted, but we don't have a way right now to send that to Airbnb. And so whatever your daily rate is, if you have a 7-day stay, you can have that minimum, and the 7 days is going to be 7 times your daily rate plus the fees and charges. All right, so what happens if your rent adjustments here, you did not intend for them to be a daily charge. Your beach gear rental or whatever it is that you have to have. I know that there have been a couple of people that have had a cleaning fee as all inclusive of $100, and so you get that $100. Now they have a 4-day stay. That $100 becomes $400, and that is probably not going to rent at that price, right? And so we've got to resolve those conflicts. So the quickest and easiest solution only works if you don't care about whether or not the rates show on your website. And the trend is now to not show rates. I've had a lot of tickets over the last few weeks asking us to remove the rates from the rate table from the website and only show them with a price quote if they put in dates. And that's due to dynamic pricing and some other industry trends that are going on. But a lot of you still want to show the rate table on the website. If you don't care about that and you're not using any of the other portals that use the rate table, then the quickest and easiest solution is just to determine whether or not that charge that's in question is truly supposed to be a daily charge. And if it's not, uncheck the box. That solves the conflict right there. But if you're showing your rates on your website and you want those charges to be included in that rate table, then you have to do something different. And if you're using one of the other channel partners that are using that rate table to determine your reservation amounts, then you also are going to have to do something different. And so the answer to that is to use portal-specific charges. So that's where we're going to go into now. So the first thing you have to do is you have to enable the portal specific charge, and that is going to be under this edit button right here. So go back to your vacation bridge, choose Airbnb, and then click edit. And then the setting right here is the rent adjustments. Now, portal specific charges, they only apply to rent adjustments. We do not have portal specific guest charges, only portal specific rent adjustments. So in order to enable them, you're going to have to choose one of these settings here, apply only with flag or apply all applicable. So apply all applicable means this: all of your fees and charges that you have assigned to a property are still going to go over to Airbnb, plus any that you have set up that are specific to Airbnb. An example of this is if you don't have any conflicts with your rates and the all-inclusive, and you just want to add a portal markup to take care of the percentage that's coming out of that reservation on the Airbnb end, then you can add a Airbnb only markup with the portal specific charge, and you would do the apply all applicable. The other one, apply only with flag, means that it is going to ignore all rent adjustments that are assigned to that property unless it's set up for portal specific charges. Now remember, this is not going to affect your guest charges. They are still going to go over there. It's only your rent adjustments that are going to be ignored with the specific setting, and then apply only the portal specific ones. So to set one of those up, after you've done one of those settings, once you go back onto your property and rent adjustment and start to create a new rent adjustment, then you're going to have this portal specific box right here is going to be enabled. If you don't have it enabled, it's just going to be grayed out and you're not going to be able to choose anything. You also have to set up that, you also have to enable that portal specific charge for each portal that you want to use it for. So if you only have Airbnb set up, then it's only going to show Airbnb in your drop down there. So other than the portal specific, and other than whether or not you want to do your all-inclusive setting or not, you're going to set this rent adjustment up the exact same way that you would set up any other rent adjustment, with the exception that you definitely don't want to use your auto day, and you don't want to use the date range. You don't want to use any of those settings that are ignored, but set up the amount, the account, management fees, all of those things exactly the same. Add to rent, automatic, and all inclusive, depending on whether or not you want this charge applied on a daily basis. So the rent adjustments, now if you don't have a whole lot of charges, this is not a hard thing to do. Apply only with flag is the setting that I would probably go with if you don't have a whole lot of charges and you still want to show the rate table on your website. Then this is the solution right here. And you can always check your quotes and your rates besides the screenshot that you see in the vacation bridge. And when you do the view rate table, that's a good idea to see what's going over there. And if you have some conflicts, you can go in there and do the math and try to figure out what's wrong there. But you can also test your quotes, calendar by property, go in and choose some dates there, and then choose the Airbnb marketing code. And then that's gonna calculate that the same way that it would as the reservation comes in from Airbnb. So when a reservation is made into Airbnb and it comes into the VRM system, this is going to show you what that would have looked like. And then you can click on this price quote right here to see what that breakdown is. The next thing, the question that we always get is, when am I going to see my changes? You've gone in and you've made adjustments to your rates and rent adjustments and fees and charges and all that kind of stuff, and you want to know when the changes are going to take place. So you're going to need to allow up to 4 hours probably for it to be reflected. It might get in there earlier, but usually I have seen the changes from VRM. First of all, it has to go from VRM into the vacation bridge. And there's a service that runs on a regular basis there. And I've usually seen my changes take place within 30 minutes, sometimes as soon as 10 to 15 minutes. And then from the vacation bridge, it gets pushed over to Airbnb. And how long it takes is going to depend on how many other people are making changes and what kind of changes those are. Lots of pictures takes a lot longer than just rate changes. And so they go in a certain order, a certain priority, but it can take up to 4 hours. So if you don't see your changes take place after 4 hours, you're welcome to go ahead and send us a help ticket, and maybe we can see if we've gotten stuck somewhere. All right, so the second to last actually, button that we're going to talk about is the Assign Properties button. So again, you're all used to the screen right here. It's the same as assigning it to a web group or any other thing. So the properties that you want to see listed on the Airbnb site, you're going to check them and move them from the left side to the right side. Pretty simple in concept. So there are some things to watch out for, though. One of the things is that if you have any pre-existing properties on Airbnb, let's say you've had an Airbnb account for a while and you've been doing this manually, and now you want to go ahead and manage that through VRM, so you have pre-existing properties over there. You need to link your existing properties to your VRM properties before you publish those properties. If you don't, undoing them, simple in concept, but we run into some bugs and some issues with that. So you really want to be careful, and in fact, we'd be happy to walk through it with you if you have pre-existing properties over there. If you don't have any pre-existing properties, then it's actually fairly simple and it works pretty good. So once the system pushes this over to Airbnb, they're going to go through this process where Airbnb is going to determine if they meet the minimum requirements. The minimum requirements include things like a minimum amount of amenities, your property description has to be so long, you have to have a certain amount of pictures, and 3 of them have to be high resolution, and a couple other things, and we have all of those listed in the Help Center. You can find out what the minimum requirements are. So if they meet the minimum requirements and there's no pre-existing properties, then those properties are automatically going to be published and listed on the Airbnb site without you having to do anything. On the Airbnb side, which I don't have any screenshots here, I don't have an account that I can that I could go in and test with. So you'll have to learn that on the Airbnb side. When you get over there, it's going to let you know if a property did not meet the requirements. It's going to let you know where the problem was. There wasn't enough pictures, there wasn't enough amenities, etc. It's going to let you know. And if you have any issues with that and you don't understand that, you can either contact us, or you can also contact your Airbnb market manager in that case, and they can help you with the reasons why. But be sure to contact us and we'll help you through. Now, if you have pre-existing properties, again, we would be happy to walk through that with you the first time around to make sure that it's done in order. They have this publish button over there that's bright, and it just calls for you just to push that button, that publish button. But if you do that before linking the property, then we have problems. And you have 2 properties listed, only one of them is synced with VRM, and then you risk double bookings, and it's proven in the past to be somewhat difficult to correct. So you want to be sure of that. The last thing is, once you have your settings in the edit screen, you've assigned your properties, you got your taxes good, you've checked your rates over, use that view rate table to look at your rates to see what's going over there. That's what we did it for, so we could tell what was going on there, to see if we were sending things over the way we wanted to, and then look at them on the Airbnb side and see if they match up. You're going to have some differences. You're going to have pennies or even dollars worth of differences. You shouldn't have tens of dollars and hundreds of dollars worth of differences. If you have that much difference, then that's indicative of a problem. But pennies and dollars worth of differences can be explained by taxing a tax, by the rounding issues and things like that. And it's likely never to match 100%. So use the rate table. Then once you've got it all set up, you want to go ahead and connect with Airbnb. You need to be logged into your Airbnb account before you click that Connect with Airbnb button. And what that does is that will link your VRM, Vacation Bridge account, with the Airbnb account. And you only have to do this once. I think the button stays there all the time, begging to be pushed, but you only have to do it the first time. Once you've done it, once your accounts are linked, you don't have to worry about doing that anymore. So that is all that I had planned for this training session. I really wanted to delve into the rates, and I hope that you all were able to understand that and to see how that all-inclusive worked. That's one of the biggest issues that we have. And if you need help with that, then definitely send us a help ticket and let us know how we can help you. If you want to get set up on Airbnb, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and get your Airbnb account set up. Talk to your market manager, get set up with them. And then let us know, and what we'll do is we will activate the Airbnb on your Vacation Bridge. and do the Airbnb first, then contact us. We'll set you up on the vacation bridge, and then again, we're happy to walk you through it. So we have a couple questions here I see. So we have one that says every booking from Airbnb will need some adjustments before it distributes. Very likely, unless they collect all of your taxes and you don't have any of your fees as percentages that result in pennies, then you're going to probably make some adjustments. Okay, Alicia asks, what is the calculation to add to fees in order to accommodate for Airbnb fees? So Airbnb charges based upon your cancellation policy is my understanding, and I can't remember what those are. But if they are taking 3% or 4% or 5% of your reservation, then I would go ahead and set up a fee that that was 4%, maybe 1% higher, and that's going to go ahead and take care of those fees, and you can do that portal specific one. So I hope that answered the question. On the housekeeping charges, this is from Stephanie. If we have a date range set up for our VRM website for bookings to be applied automatically, I understand the Airbnb will ignore the date range guest charge. But what about the automatic housekeeping fee we need to apply to the property for Airbnb? So what you want to do in that case is that's where you're going to want to set up a portal specific rent adjustment for that. And when you set that up, just make sure that you use the word clean, cleaning, or housekeeping in that fee, and it will go over there correctly as a cleaning fee. So if that's the only kind of fee that you have to worry about, you don't have any other all-inclusive stuff that you need to worry about, you could use the setting that is apply all applicable, and then it's going to ignore the date range charge anyway. That's not even going to go over there, and then it will apply that housekeeping fee. So use a portal specific charge. And if it is a portal specific charge, then it's not going to show up on the website. That was another question. It's automatic, but it's only automatic to that specific portal, right? So it's not going to affect any other portal. It's not going to affect your website. It's not going to affect a quote that's coming from VRM and going out to HomeAway or going out to any of the other portals. Let's see. And then a question on that same note is, will it be tied in with the daily rate only if you use the all-inclusive charge? So if your housekeeping fee is only supposed to be done once, then you want to not check the all-inclusive, and then it's going to go over separate from the daily rate. Let's see, any other questions?
I think you got them all. I'm looking through and I'm seeing that pretty much all of them are there. I just do want to make mention that this recording will be available for you guys to review as much as you need to, because I know some of those questions and things can be a little bit confusing, but this will be available on our blog, and we'll send out a link in our recap email that'll go out tomorrow. So just letting everybody know, you will have access to rewatch this. So look in your email tomorrow and you should get a replay link tomorrow for our blog.
Yeah. All right, we've got another question here that says, will it book right on VRM, or do we have to capture the reservation from the Airbnb site like we do now? So that's where if you've linked your properties correctly before publishing them, once you've connected your Vacation Bridge account with the Airbnb account, then once the reservation is made on the Airbnb side, yes, it will come over into the VRM. And then VRM will do the reservation and the money, and that's where you might need to make some adjustments, because it's going to adhere to the, when the reservation comes in for those dates, it's going to adhere to the rules that you have in VRM. It's not going to put the money up there that Airbnb is collecting. They're gonna send you the money that they're gonna send you, and that may or may not match up with the reservation amount as it is entered into VRM. So it's a real-time booking into the VRM system, but the payment comes later because Airbnb is the merchant of record. So you might have to, like I said, make adjustment to the amounts. All right, well, I see I missed the question that said, so now they are getting a commission on management fees. Yes, they are, because that's built into the total price. And my understanding is that their fee comes out of that total price. But, you know, I could be wrong, actually. So I think that that question is probably better answered by Airbnb as far as the total and what their charge comes from. Like I said, they charge a fee, a certain amount of the reservation based upon your cancellation policy. They have a strict, a loose, and something else. I think they have 3 of them. And then the percentage is based upon that. So, so where that percentage then comes from, I think you need to ask them. And yes, you do have to use their merchant service. They are the merchant of record. So you don't handle the money. They handle the money. They pay you. They pay you whatever taxes. They pay whatever taxes they have collected. Okay, so we have a question. If the funds are put in via the ACH direct deposit by Airbnb, will we see a payment applied from the reservation, or do you need to put that payment in as a check? So you need to put that. You need to put that payment in yourself. And I wish I would have written down what Michelle told me, but I think she said that it was best to put that in as a check. And for the check number, you know, you use some sort of code so that you know that that is from Airbnb, so that you recognize that. And yes, you're going to put it in as a check, because it's not going to be automatically applied to the reservation. Airbnb is gonna pay you. Okay, so Michelle tells me use EFT from Airbnb. That's the best way to handle that. Okay, any plans to integrate with other third parties in the near future? We have a lot of plans. We have some integrations going on right now. We're always growing. We're always talking to people. We have several people that have several different partners that have inquired of us. And so, yes, the answer is most definitely yes. We will be doing more of these all the time. We'll always be working on one, I'm certain. So,
awesome.
Okay.
That's all the Q&As that I have in my thing. Anybody else, if you have a question, just go ahead and pop it in really fast. Connie's here to answer for you. But I think that we got most of the big questions that were being wondered about. So I want to just say again, be sure to make sure that you have your correct email, the one that you get regularly. Make sure that you get your emails from VRM to that email address. And if you don't actually get emails to the correct address, just send me an email, Brittany@virtualresortmanager.com, and I am so happy to go ahead and update that for you and make sure you get it to the right address. I know a lot of times I have like probably 8 different emails that I use that are, personal and work and all sorts of different things. So, make sure that the emails are coming to the right address so that when we do these Tea with Brittany Lee replays and you want to recapture the replay and watch that again, you actually get it to the right inbox and it gets to you. I know a lot of people don't manage their inbox, on their personal email a lot. So if you need it to go to a different email, just let us know. Again, we are just so thankful for all of you being here today. We really appreciate it. I know that you guys have worked really hard to do this integration to the staff. I just want to say thank you so much. You guys have worked really hard on this, and it's just such an awesome thing to be able to provide this for our clients. And to our beta testers, we just thank you for all of your patience and your help in getting us through the beta testing. I feel like Michelle put something else in here. She may, and Connie may come in and say another thing, a little note from Michelle. But we just are really so appreciative of all of our clients. Your support and your time is just really valuable to us, so we appreciate that.
Okay, no, I just want to thank everybody, and send us help tickets. If you have any questions whatsoever, it's really important to get some of this stuff done right the first time. So we are very happy to help you through it. So just let us know if you want to get set up, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for another awesome episode of Tea with Brittany Lee. If you guys want to see what's coming up next, we have some really great ones. We actually have CSA Travel Insurance is going to come on next month and talk about travel insurance and damage waivers and all that kind of stuff. Which is actually kind of timely with all the stuff that's been going on in North Carolina. So just be checking our website and your email for that, and I'll be sending out information on that. But thank you again, everybody that showed up today, and thank you, Connie, for all of your words of wisdom. We really appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time on Tea with Brittany Lee. Bye.